And again, if you've just joined the program, we're on the live painting channel doing a painting of some mountains that I was inspired by in Palm Springs, California. Really cool place to go visit if you're looking for something neat to do. We usually go down there in February to kind of escape the snow, or at least the cold weather from the Seattle area, and boy did we luck out. We headed out on one of the snowiest days of the year and spent 6 days down there and came back and it started to warm up. Felt pretty lucky. Alright, I'm kind of liking that so far. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to get a little bit of deep dark blue for that next range of mountains coming up. And I'm going to stick to my palette here, but I do need to load a little more blue on it. More phthalo blue. And I might even get crazy and throw a little violet in there here in a minute. That might be the thing to do. We'll see. But I'm just going to make this next row of mountains just a little bit darker. So I'm just going to go with some phthalo blue, a little bit of Payne's gray. Let's see what that looks like. Get some water on my brush. And let's just kind of see what happens with that. Ooh, that's definitely the idea that I had, so that's good. Notice I've got some sketching going on underneath here. That's just to kind of give me the overall composition of what I'm looking for here. But I do like the way that looks. Yeah. Alright, and maybe this part of it comes down in here. Another little part of the range. I think I got it a little too dark, but that's no problem. We just lighten it right up. I kind of like the blend of my brush anyway. I don't know if you've seen me do this before, but sometimes I'll roll the brush to give it kind of a little different mixing technique. I like that. Alright. Do a little more of that over here. Still, the mountains are they're gonna get a little wider or lighter as we go down. So be sure to just add pigment here and there. I'm gonna go with that kind of impressionistic style again. Just letting the paint do its work here. And I really enjoy doing this live painting channel that we started this is week number 8 actually. Produced a lot of fun stuff. People come and hang out on the channel and chat, connect, relax a little bit. That's what it's all about. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, let me just see what I got going on here. That is good. That is good. I like the light and dark that I'm establishing here. All right. Now, take a little bigger brush. Get a little more painterly effect on some of this. Go in with basically a little bit of light blue and gray to draw that down a little bit. Oh yeah, I like it. That I do like. Still got that dark, a little darker than the mountains behind them. Pick up a little of that maybe up in here. Awesome. Okay. Go back in with a little dark on top of that light. I'm gonna roll that brush a little bit. There we go. I'm kind of liking that for sure. There we go. Yeah, again, if you're new to the live painting channel, it's just a place to hang out and paint. You can paint along with us. You don't have to. I'll usually record the sessions and post them on YouTube. Towards the end of the day's program, I'll post some contact information if you ever want to just sync up and collaborate on anything. Doesn't have to be about art, but it's a good subject. All right. it looks a little bit like that. That could be it. Kind of like in the blue in the shadow there. All right. Give it a little definition here and there. It's up to you, but I kind of like keeping it loose. Keep it loose. There we go. Rather liking that. Okay. I think I'll just hold on that and take a look at it. Now, I had some, there were some houses along there, but you know, I'm not even sure I'm going to put the houses in there. I'm going to switch over and go to a little bit different part of my palette here. Put in some of that, what I was telling you about, which I really loved, which was the burnt umber, kind of gradating down. Here I am mixing the burnt umber, pure, on down into the white. Yeah, it makes for a really nice brown. Later I'll probably put some shadows of blue into that burnt umber, but right now I'm going to stick with what I got. By the way, paper towels are a really good commodity when you're painting. I have a whole roll. It's actually attached to my easel. Neat little thing I made. If you ever want to know about it, chat me. Well, okay, now I got to get my mind around what we're doing here. So, I want to get my brain set into this new color scheme I'm working on here, which is the burnt umber. Yeah, okay, I'm starting to see it. So I'm going to start doing that same sort of thing where I did in the painting swatch, and I'm going to go from dark, almost pure burnt umber, and some of these little hillocks here, which are on the golf course. It's sort of a link style, and the grass was sort of browned up a little bit. So this is going to be some of the shadowier areas of that. But they're really kind of cool because they're very rounded. I like the mounds. There's some really cool mounds in here. So I'm going to make myself some mounds. Alright, I like that. Now I'm going to go for the medium. And we're going to put in a bit of that medium in here. I like to use a lot of pigment. Just I like the way it feels. Yeah. There we go. Nice. Ooh, it's almost delicious color. So I eat it. Don't eat paints though, in case you're. Don't try eating any paints if your children are watching. Just making a fun joke about how delicious these colors are. Oh my goodness. I love that. Okay, so I am going to do a little sneaky trick by dropping a little Naples yellow in the highlights of this, just to kind of give it a little bit of life and color. Maybe that Naples yellow is kind of a part of the grassy section here. So it rolls along the hills. Nice, I like it. Alright, making my mounds. And that has that same sort of effect. And over here, we'll come down off this mound. We'll make a nice sort of section of that. Nice, very good. Oh. Seen another one right in here. It's a little, almost like a little Indian mound or something here. On the links style golf courses, they'll see a lot of these little mounds. Tell you what, if you're a golfer and you get stuck on one of those, it's not the easiest thing to get off of sometimes. But I do like the way the color bands over there. Just nice horizontal band of color. Put a little bit more of that right in there. Ooh, I like that so much. Do a little more of it. And again, I'm going to show people who haven't seen this technique before a little something, something. So if you load your brush up with different hues and colors, pretty distinct, and then you can either, brush it, or you can kind of do this sort of thing where you might want to kind of roll it on here. Oh, yeah. I like some effects sometimes, yeah, look at that. Okay, this is just meant to be sort of an impression of some of those dunes down there. Pick up a little bit of that here, just to kind of get a balance going on. Liking it. Really yummy color. Maybe that little triangle. Go that like that. Okay. I do paint the edges. Kind of keep continuing whatever color you're on, and that way they look pretty nice without framing. I haven't framed a painting in a while. Or at least formally framed it. Alright. I'm liking that. I don't want to destroy it by doing too much, so I might just put a little bit of shadow in here and there. And I'm going to come back into those shadows in a little bit, and I'm going to do something that I'm not sure if you know about, but shadows often are actually as much blue as they are just a darker hue of what you're painting with. I like that, kind of some sand dune-y looking things. I think this one kind of swirls in here though. Yeah, I like that. Alright. This is fun. Having me some fun here. Now, I got a plan, believe it or not. I got a plan that we're working on here. And I don't mind the way this is kind of rough and jagged and natural looking. I don't mind that at all. So let's not mess with that. Any viewers out there want to throw out any ideas, tips, or tricks? Feel free. Always open to other artists' opinions. Main thing is have fun. That's my theory. And I am having some fun here. Okay. Alright, now I actually have to solidify my plan for what I'm going to do with some of these other key areas here. So this is a key area I need to decide on. I might put some little homes in there, don't know yet. I got some palm trees that are going to be growing up on that, I think. Yeah. And I got this really cool tree I'm going to make. You're going to be blown away. It's going to be the coolest tree ever. I mean, it had this really cool curves to it. And actually, you may not be able to see this, but I've kind of sketched out some of those lines. I kind of leave them barely visible, like through the sky and such. And what it's going to do, it's going to bring up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different dimensions, if you will. It's the sky, pretty much the back. This row of mountains, number 2. This row, number 3. This one farther forward, number 4. 5 will be whatever I put in here. 6 will be this. Actually, it's going to be more like 7 when I add the tree. I like that. 7 layers. When we talk about some of the more advanced techniques of painting, kind of review a few basics and kind of get a little more advanced. One of the basics is always your composition. So I start with stock. I got to show you something. What a bargain, man. went down on Freaky Fridays or whatever to Michael's, and I bought five of these 16 by 20 canvases, 5 of them for $10. Do the math, that's $2.50 each. But I don't like these stock sizes like 8 by 12, 9 by 12, 16 by 20, 11 by 14. They don't make any sense to me, so I always cut them up. Cut them into my own dimensions, which is something you could do if you like. And then basically you have to kind of redo half the frame or part of the frame, but it's worth it. So here I am. I better just get going here. Yeah. Better just get going. I'm going to do this area here. Okay, what I see in there is some really pretty shrubbery in my mind. I'm not going to get crazy with the green, but I am going to put some green in there. So let's go ahead and green up, man. Green up. Speaking of which, there's that movement, the Green New Deal. I'm kind of in favor. I'm in favor of that. It sounds like a pretty darn smart thing. You know, people talking about saving the planet and stuff, but yeah, it's our spaceship. I'm really glad people are thinking about that. But anyway, I'm gonna lay in some fairly dark. Oh, this is fun when you just go in here and you just do this like so. It's just a blast. You just kind of get a little bit of reckless abandon and go in there and get your compositional color kind of all set up. I'm liking that actually, so I'll keep doing that. What I'm doing is I'm actually just mixing the hooker's grain, a little bit of white, and some of that burnt umber to kind of tie it together. Kind of becomes some of the foliage back in here. And it is farther forward, and thus usually not always a little darker. I'm going to do a little crazy thing and put some, oh wow, I like that burnt umber and blue. For some reason I decided to go with and look at that. Yeah. I don't know, the shadows, deep blue under the trees maybe. If you like it, it's your painting. Do what you want to do. Okay. The bands. Actually, this is getting the impression I was looking for, but sometimes you don't. Let's just say I got lucky today. Just getting lucky over here on my painting. Where in your mind's eye you see something and you start creating it. Sometimes it evolves into something else. This time, actually kind of being evolving like I had it in my mind's eye. Quite nice. Nice effect here. Okay. Let me go and dab in a little bit. Ooh, that looks good. Talking about how the blue sometimes is in the shadows, and you have to kind of like squint sometimes to see it, but it's there. Look at French Impressionist paintings sometimes, and you'll see quite a bit of blue in the shadowy areas. Not just like black or gray, it can be a lot of interesting colors. But I mean for this to be quite dark. I'm still working on that effect of back to front. Lightest, lighter, lighter. Lightest, darker, 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 darker. And then I come across with this big swatch of lovely sand colored, burnt grass colored stuff. Now right now, I'm feeling like I just ought to just quit on that part. So I'm going to. Know when to walk away from that, whatever you're doing. Know when to walk away. Okay, clean the brush. Now I'm going to put in some green, but green sometimes isn't as green as you would think. So I'm going to try to mix me up some green that's just not too green, not too brown. Try to make it just right in my mind's eye. So I'm going to start by laying in some of that right in here. Just a bit of a olive green. Tracing along my little areas that I created there, because I created them. Might as well go with it. Maybe it's a little darker here for some reason. Maybe the light is getting it out this way farther. Alright, I'm liking this. Let's go with a little more of that, but I've got to keep that burnt umber going. That's so cool. You know, sometimes you get on a kick with a color, you just start liking it, and that's okay. You could do like, remember Picasso had his blue period? Maybe this is Warren's burnt umber period. Still, it's gonna be green in some fashion, because I'm painting an impression of a fairway on a golf course in Palm Springs. All you golfers can appreciate that. Even if you're not golfers, I mean, golf courses have some of the most beautiful scenery. I'm sure that's not by accident. I am sure. Now I'm going to do something just a little weird here. Yeah. Tone down that green just a little bit more. But I do want to go back in and I want to put some light green across in here like that. Ooh. I like that. You see how it's green, but not a lot of green in it. All kinds of other burnt umber and white mostly is the other choices there. I like that. Bingo. Stop. Stop on that part. Stop already. All right. Well, you know, I'm liking the way this is progressing, so I'm going to keep on the same style. Pretty painterly, in other words, just applying paint in a fairly loose manner. And I'm going to put in it's going to be fairly deep, dark, I think shadowy thing coming in here. Let me make that up. Let me make what my mind's eye is seeing here is a fairly deep, shadowy thing. Wow, holy macaroni. That actually is kind of cool. I'm just going to stretch it all the way across there. Wow. Zonkers. I like it. What is it? It's a shadowy area. And I see it's coming down in here a little bit. But not to be outdone by his little bit of grassy, dark, almost like dead grass sort of thing right in here. Yeah. Yeah, I think we got her. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, now, see, and it's fun because we've been really sticking to the palette plan, huh? Check it out. We've got, just to kind of review where we're at on this. Started with just a simple phthalo blue with some Payne's gray and white. I don't know if you noticed, but there's this sort of an arc here and an arc here. You can barely see it. That's part of my composition. It's part of the what's called the whirling squares effect. More on that in another show. I'm not sure why I didn't paint that little blotch there, but maybe something will pop out at me. And wow. This is one of those times where I'm very tempted just to leave this painting like it is, but I'm almost, no, I see a little area I gotta work on. Probably the audience today can't even see what I'm worried about here, but it's this little area right in here that just gotta work on a little bit. So I'm gonna go back to my original light grayish blue, and I'm gonna work on that area just a little bit here. That's a little too light. You can kind of see what I'm doing is I'm just taking a light brush to it. I'm not trying to make it all the same tone either, just sort of, there's an area that I just wasn't happy with right in there. I'm starting to like it. Okay. You don't want to take the spontaneity out of your painting though. No, don't do that. But we're gonna work on these little, you know, the light, dark to light thing I was talking about. And I can see a little bit more of that needed here. And in here too. Yep. I do want the gradation. Sorry, Backhill. I'm going to push you back a little bit. You got a little bit too dark on me somehow. There we go. Along with your cousin over here. And I can give him his little shadow corner there, but overall, it's very, very subtle when you're trying to do gradations like this, because every little bit counts. Now that starting to pop. Wazoo! I love it. Enjoying my painting today. Yes, sirree. Enjoying it a lot. I paint to relax as much as anything. I find painting very relaxing. I don't know anybody that paints to get high anxiety in their life. There's plenty of that out there, isn't there? Just go on a trip with on an airplane. I'm going to test your patience. Yeah, this is good. Okay, but again, not at the risk of overworking this, that's kind of a tad bit too dark. It's all in your mind, whatever you want to do. But now I'm going to decide what I want to do with that little corner area. By golly. And I've decided that I want a little uptick on that side of the mountain. That's what I wanted right there. There we go. Okay, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. I'm buying it. I sort of like that. I kind of like the way it all flows here. Retain that little corner angle. By the way, part of my diagonal, very subtle, but part of the diagonal of the whole thing. Notice this diagonal right here. See that mountain? The corner? telling you, a lot of the great masters followed this sort of Cézanne. Whoa, you got to look at Paul Cézanne if you like this sort of stuff. Whoa, blow your mind. Start looking at the angles in his stuff. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, now I have another little part of that plan to execute on that little corner area there. That one is a little lighter, you see? Oh my, starting to like it. So we're really down to a big decision here, frankly, and that is how I want to develop the rest of the painting. So I'm going to actually just take a moment to work out some of the background stuff I put in there. Pretty simple stuff, so I should be able to match that color back up. But back here in the sky, I had still showing through a lot of my little compositional lines. I'll take this as an opportunity to lighten that whole area a tad. How about that? Yep. You know, if it gets a little bit of some of the other pigment in, that's not always a bad thing. But I kind of wanted to do this anyway when I got close to this. And that is to give it a little snap of, oh, it's a little bit almost yellowish in some of these areas. Yeah, I like the light. Ooh, I'm liking that so much. That I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing here. What I'm really doing here is I'm just kind of, you know, frankly, hiding some of my compositional lines. I don't mind them showing through a little bit, but at the same time, I just added this little bit of yellow up there that I just am sort of really starting to like. So, not a bad thing. You can hardly see it, but there's just a little bit of yellow coming up over here where the sun is coming from. Yeah. And maybe it caught a little cloudish, a little tiny cloudlet over there. I'm not sure I'm going to put in clouds today. I like this sort of Paul Cézanne look of these mountains here. And frankly, I like the bold move there of the burnt umber. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, thank you, Wisconsin, for that comment. I think that lightening it up did make the mountains pop a little. And I just got to get bold here. I'm moving into the bold phase here, and that is, in my mind's eye, I see this tree, really cool tree, but I have to get just the perfect brush for this. And it's got to be loaded with just the right amount of, perfect amount of pigment. And then I also got to decide what color it is for doggone it. I think, for the most part, it's gray. People go, a trunk tree is always brown. Not really. No. Trees are often not brown at all. I looked and saw a little bit of maybe raw umber or something in here. We'll just see what happens here. It's going to be crazy. When I do this, you're going to see. You're going to be gasping, hopefully with delight, but maybe with horror. I don't know yet. But it's going to be one heck of a big, bold move I'm going to do right here. And it's going to come right about right now. Okay. You ready? Now, a funny thing about a tree is I do it kind of in reverse of how the tree grows. The reason is, as I move the brush down through the painting, it's easier to make it a little thicker. So I'm gonna just go crazy on this one here. We're gonna create ourselves a tree trunk here. Okay. Yeah, we sure are. We keep bragging about it, so we better just Great. Ah! Look at that. He did it. Did part of his tree trunk. That is so hard to do, I'm telling you. Oh my gosh. That's only part of it. There's another big part of this tree that goes like this. Real thick part. Ooh, wow. And it comes back over in here. Wow. That's hard to do. That's so hard to do. You never know unless you've done this before. Okay, but I'm now emboldened. So I can do a little bit more of my tree here. Believe it or not, that's mostly gray. Well, I did it, folks. Creating the basis, the concept of a tree anyway, huh? Concept of a tree. It's a good concept, I think. I don't know if you agree, but I'm calling it a good concept for a tree right there. Now here, I put a little blue in that. I kind of like it. Alright, it's not half bad for what I was looking for. So we're going to continue with this tree. Not getting too crazy, but I'm just kind of seeing a little bit more foliage, and I'm going to actually intentionally bring it over a couple of these areas to give it more depth. Mountains, there we go. Now the thing is with trees is they keep growing. I mean, they can grow right during your painting like this one is. It's just growing like crazy. I don't want to get too crazy, but I want to do a little there, a little branch there. One branch that kind of got out of whack and went like that. And I'm going to take another photo of this. I forgot to take more, but as I do these art demos and live painting sessions, it's actually useful for me to watch the progression. In fact, I'm going to let that paint dry for a little bit, and I'm going to show you what I mean by this progression idea. So I have somewhere over here, give me a second, I'll bring it up. I have, here we go. I have a little progression series from my last live painting show, which many of you were on that show, I think, and you know that we painted a sailboat in the San Juan Islands. So here's what I mean by progression. I started with this basic sketch, laying out just the really basic grays here, and not trying to get too fancy, but I laid out the concept of a little island, a little islet there, and where the boat is going to be, and just some of the dark and light. And then you can see as I started to add where I was going to put the islands, and I put in a little more boat detail, and then as we've worked on it and finished it up, there it is. I call it the Sloop Ruthie at anchor in the San Juan Islands. It was fun. So that's why I'm taking these photos. Part of the book that's going to come out. I keep doing that little spoiler. Okay. Get rid of that. Come back over here. And back here to the painting. So what I'm going to do now is I still want to. I see that I needed to let that dry a little, so we're going to zoom in. Just take a little closer look at what we got going on here. And any comments from the gallery would be Always appreciated. Okay. There's a little bit of detail on the mountains. Alright. By the way, since you're watching on Twitch, I'm collecting followers. In order to post videos on Twitch, I need 50 followers, and I think I only have 9 right now, but it's growing. I think we get 1 or 2 every week. So if you know of anyone, you could point to my Twitch channel and have them follow me. Then we can all watch the videos on Twitch. Okay. Palm Springs golf course. It's actually, for golfers out there, it's the PGA West Stadium course, looking out the 14th fairway. We're about on the 150-yard line, in case you wanted to know. Alrighty then, so let's see how that paint is going there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I got to get some texture going into my tree because I just see the texture in my mind's eye. And to do that, I'm going to create a little bit of a new mixture, a lighter gray. So what I really need to do is take that same gray and I think mix some fair amount of white in it. That's what I'm doing here. And let's see what that looks like. Sometimes I'll just test it on a piece of paper. I'm doing something real tricky and delicate like I am now. Okay, tricky and delicate, yes. But it's going to be, okay, I see that. Just lost power. Weird. Hey, Jeremy? Jeremy? Did you lose power? Yeah. I don't know if we had anything unusual on. Wait, you have a light in there, huh? Oh. Let me get a flashlight and see what we've got going on. Right in the middle of my painting show. Power's out at our house. Yeah, I think it's out everywhere in the house. Yeah, not just a break. No. Yeah. Nothing's on. Oh well. No internet.